In today's video from Casterton Vintage, we're going to look at some tractors on the Baker fan, which is a very simple device for putting as little or as much load as you want on your tractor. The science behind this is based on the fan laws, which, if you remember your physics, means that if you drive a fan slowly, it takes very little power, but as soon as you start to up the speed, the power goes through the roof. We'll take a quick look at the maths behind this a bit further on in the video. For now, let's concentrate on getting this 1020 lined up to the fan and see if it'll drive it. If you're into tractors, you'll know that the 1020 refers to the 10 horsepower at the drawbar and the 20 horsepower at the belt that this little International is supposed to produce. So the tractor's lined up and we're ready to run it. Let's see what happens. Well, it looks like the belt's not quite lined up properly, so we'll have to have a bit of a realignment session. You'll see the fan's got two pulleys on it. We're driving on the high gear at the moment. If your tractor won't handle it, you can put it on the bigger pulley, which will drive the fan slower. The fan puts a nice steady load on the tractor, and it's quite useful to be able to lift the bonnet and do a bit of tinkering while it's running. Well, it didn't sound great, and it looks like it's finally stopped. Maybe a quick tap in the right place with this extremely large hammer might fix it. Let's have another try and see if it'll go. It looks like we need a bit more power on the handle. No, not even a pop. I think the best option here is going to be a tow rope. And whilst we've got this case running, why not put it on the fan? Before we get into that, I'm going to show you a little bit of video from last year's event. We're going to try this Turner stationary engine on the fan. You can hear the engine at the moment, and it's running on normal idle. As soon as we get the belt on, the speed drops right down, and you can see the load what appears to be a relatively slow revolving fan is putting on this engine. And I said at the beginning we'd return to the fan laws and why this fan is such a useful tool for testing your tractor. The power required varies by the cube of the speed. So if you double the speed, you're going to need 8 times the power. Hence the reason this little engine will turn it, but only at a speed that's slow enough that the power consumed is low enough. What we're going to do now is try it on the other pulley, which effectively gears down the fan relative to the engine. And the bigger pulley gears it down just enough so that this little Turner diesel can actually work the fan. Although I don't think it'd stand that for very long. Hopefully taking a look at this little Turner engine on the fan has given you some idea of why you can turn the fan by hand from stationary, but when the speed increases you need much more power. So we'll leave the Turner doing its little bit for global warming and we'll go back to the case. The case is going well. We've got a little bit of belt slip, so let's have some belt stick on. As the fan delivers a constant load, the tractor slowly warms up, and then one or two problems become apparent. We've dropped a cylinder, and we're assuming it's spark, so let's see if we can find it. And there it is, number 2 plug. By the amount of oil leaking down the side of the block, it's probably oiled up.
I'll put this with a plug spanner.
Yeah. I don't think it'll want a lot of choke. Give her a lick though.
Right, we've changed the plug, so let's see how it runs now.
Getting tight. When you step
Where escaping now? Yeah.
Well, the case is definitely running better now. We'll leave it at that and we'll move on to something else. Let's have a look at the parade of steam engines. So that's all we've got for this week. When you're watching this, we should be at the 2025 Carrington Rally. Their theme this year is International Tractors, so expect plenty of those in next week's video. As always, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.